Hey y'all, and welcome to my third Spin With Me episode. Also, kind of like a Rhinebeck countdown. I have spun and knit, almost finished knitting my Framed by Andrea Murray, and I wanted to talk to y'all about it. I will also be sharing, it's only 20 days till then, and I'm really getting excited. I've also been planning my shopping list a bit more. I've had a few kind of like a wish list before, but now I'm getting more into the actual project planning and what I really want to get, and like putting the booth, like where the booths will be located, like all the information I'm putting into my master kind of like document of all things Rhinebeck. And I thought I might share because this could be interesting to anyone going, or to anyone wanting to knit the frame sweater. I also want to share a bit about my packing process, and so I think it'll be this will be a vlog over probably a couple of days. Like I said, it's only 20 days, but then again, 20 days is still a good amount of time. And I can confidently, I can say with confidence that I will be able to finish my Rhinebeck sweater because look at it, it is almost done. I've had the sweater body done for a while. It's also blocked already. This is the La Bien-Aimée Corrie Worsted in Amège, Sandnesgarn Double Sunday in Almond, and then my handspun Orlean Knits Shanico by Yarn Jam. After finishing the body, I took about a 2-week break from this project, probably because I wanted to get to that point. I then pretty much knit a full doppio within a week of work, which wasn't great for my hands and wrists, but I wanted something really mindless, and I could tell that I needed something like a project like that. But yeah, I then picked it back up. I had a bit of problems picking up the right amount of stitches, but like at my third try, kind of, I got it right. I'm also not sure about if I understood her directions correctly with picking up the stitches. It's probably not as neat as it could be on my first one. I think my second sleeve is a bit neater, but I don't really mind. I don't think it looks super messy, but yeah, you can see that there's kind of like a row in there before it starts. And yeah, I think it'll turn out to be nicer looking after I also finished the sleeves, because you can tell there's a difference between unblocked and blocked. And I also think my gauge might be slightly, I'm not even sure, is it bigger, is it smaller? I'll see after blocking, but I don't mind. I'm not going to do the whole thing because I'm like off by one stitch either way. So I finished this one sleeve, I would say in about 2 weeks as well. I was able, on like a day of work, I was able to do at least like half a repeat or even a full repeat. But after work, I could not concentrate on this. I've had a bit of, not a knitting slump, because I've been knitting pretty much every day. Some days I wasn't, but yeah, I've not been super motivated after work to knit. Maybe it was also my body telling me to give myself the rest that I needed with my wrists, and the pain, like it wasn't bad pain, but like some overuse of my arms pain was definitely happening. So I wasn't knitting as much. So I'm really happy that I started this so early to be able to really get it done. I did 1/2 repeat more than Andrea Murray suggested, so it's 1, 2, 3 full repeats. She did 2.5. I like the look of the added length a bit more, especially because this is in her version, it's a worsted weight sweater, you know, and mine, it's a DK, because I got gauge on DK, and all my yarns are DK, though my handspun is more of like a light DK. In some ways it's pretty much a sport, but it turned out nicely, and especially in the part that is already blocked, I don't see a huge problem. And if I will find like a point in which the yarn is way too thin, I can like still duplicate stitch over it. But yeah, like I said, blocking has helped immensely already. And after lengthening it by a half repeat of the color work, I also did a bit more length for the cuffs. I'm not yet sure if I'm going to add the same length in my hem, which was knitted bottom up. So I wanted to add a bit more length, but I only did about half or like 1 centimeter to what she suggested. Now, if I look back on it, I would like another centimeter of length, but I'm not sure if it's worth the hassle of like picking up the stitches, unraveling it, and then knitting it in the other direction. This is what someone in the comment section suggested, and I like the idea, but I'm not sure if it'll be worth it for like an added centimeter, and I'm not even sure if it'll be enough for a centimeter. It might just be enough for like 2 added rows. And then again, like, yeah, I had a nugget left which I weighed, and then I just wanted to see that I wouldn't surpass like half of that for this cuff, but I didn't reach half of it. So I've got more than enough left for my second sleeve, that was my thinking. And I wasn't even thinking about adding length to this too much. I don't think it's going to be super like noticeable, like an eyesore that this is maybe like 3 rows longer than this. I don't think you're going to notice, especially if this like is a bit more stretched out. But it might be a modification that I'll do later on. Though this like tubular bind off took so long, I'm not sure if I can rip it back and like redo it again, because that alone I think would take me at least like a week, picking up the stitches, ripping it out, knitting it like in the other direction again, adding, probably only got like yarn left to add 2 to 3 rows. I'm not sure if I could do that, and I'm not sure if it's like worth the extra added rows. But I've been talking about this little issue for long enough. Let me talk about the next thing, which isn't ideal, but I'm not really sure if I'm going to tackle it. My neck is a bit tight if I'm trying to get it over my head. It might be because I've got a big head, but that also might be because I could have picked up like 2 to 3 more stitches. But honestly, it was difficult enough to pick up the amount of stitches that I did. And I think I did the amount for my size and maybe 2 more, but like I tried to follow the pattern pretty much to a T. And then I did whatever she suggested. I think I added like 2 rows because I thought her suggestions of how long it's supposed to be were pretty short, and I just wanted to be, I just wanted for it to be a bit longer, to not be as boat neck-y, but a bit more like a crew neck, which it's not, but I just didn't want it to be too shallow, like too short, the ribbing. So I really like the look of it, but it's a bit of a hassle to get on. Like I need to take off my glasses. It's a bit of a moment, if you know what I'm trying to say. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be a huge problem. I hope that the weather is going to be like very, obviously I hope that it's not going to rain. I think my ideal situation would be something around like 15 degrees Celsius and like a breeze in the air, so I can wear this all day without getting like super sweaty. But then also, like I said, it would be ideal if it's not raining or something like that. Right now, Rhinebeck weather is looking like something between 11 and 21 degrees most of the days. I've had a look at the 14 days forecast, which it could all change. Like it's still 20 days out for us. But yeah, I think even that would be nice weather as long as it's not raining. But 21 degrees and a DK weight woolen sweater, color work, which means that you've got DK double pretty much. that could be a bit warm. So I hope that I don't have to take it off and on a ton, because that could pretty much ruin my hair for the day. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be too much of a problem, and I could always still redo it because I've got a bit more yarn left. But honestly, I don't really know what I could change for it to be bigger, other than picking up more stitches, which I'm not sure where I could get those stitches from. Honestly, this was the amount of stitches I could get. So I think I'll leave it. That was a long-winded way of saying it's not ideal, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna leave it. Right now I'm on the second sleeve, and this is also why I felt like picking up my camera, like my phone again, to film this third episode of the Spin with me for Rhinebeck, for my Rhinebeck sweater video, because I felt like it's going to be over soon. And yeah, I really wanted to take you along on this last leg of the journey because honestly, like I said, I've got a day of work today, and if I just sit down after filming and knit, I'll probably be able to finish the color work today and then do the cuff maybe tomorrow and then block it. It'll probably take at least 4 to 5 days with the weather we're having. I know this took a long time and it was nicer out yet, like it was warmer when I was blocking this, so it blocked a bit quicker. But yeah, then I'll have it done at least like 2 weeks before Rhinebeck, which I think will be nice, because then I still have some time to think about how I want to style this, what pants I'm going to bring to Rhinebeck. I think Andrea Mari said that she's going to have a live about how she and the girls from Farmersdorte Fiber and Spin Cycle Yarns, who are the makers of the original yarn of the pattern, are planning on styling it, which I think is such a great idea, because everyone has such different tastes and styles, and a very cropped sweater like this, there are so many fun ideas, like options of how you could style it. But yeah, I have an idea. And I'll see if that works. And I think it's nice to have a bit of time still to figure this out and like put it on my wardrobe and look at it every day. Probably not gonna wear it before. I really want Rhinebeck to be the first day that I wear this. But yeah, let me talk about my progress that I'm still having to make. I'll show you a close up, because I think this sweater sleeve is such a beautiful like depiction of how my hand spun looks in this sweater. So it's getting really like the blonde, very kind of, yeah, I would say it's a blonde. I'm not sure if you're able to tell what I mean, like this kind of part of the hand spun next to the tealy turquoise and the nutty brown is something that isn't happening a ton in the body, but it's happening here, and I really like it. It's kind of like a low contrast part of the thing. But yeah, I love all the colors in this, and I'm in my, I think it's a fifth repeat. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm in my last full repeat. I'm halfway through my first part of it, and it's going well so far. So I have been knitting with two finger, how do you say that? Like I'm knitting continental and English at the same time. So I'm holding my one color in the one hand and the other one in the other hand. I am doing magic loop for it. Let me actually show you how I do it. Someone asked about this. I've been holding my background color in the right hand. I'm not sure if that's correct, but I just figured if I'm going to do it the whole way through in the same way, it's going to be fine. And I'm wrapping it around the other yarn sometimes. Let me get a head start. So if I'm wanting it to be a bit secure and not have too long, like the floats not be too long, I'm either putting my left hand, no, it's a right hand yarn, behind whenever I'm taking my left hand yarn, and the other way around I do the same. So if I'm knitting with my right hand yarn, yeah, that's actually correct, and I want to secure the left hand yarn, I'll go under and wrap around, so that way I'll secure it. I'm actually not sure what that technique is called. I have figured it out on my own while doing colorwork knitting for the first time. I don't always have to do this because there's a lot of three like repeats of color, and 3 is the highest number I want to go without holding floats, or at least, yeah, that's what I feel most comfortable with. So yeah, I'm not sure if that was helpful, but that is the way I am knitting colorwork. So I'm just wrapping the other strand around the needle pretty much. And then something I'm doing every time that I've finished about a half repeat, I'll take it and stretch it. So that way I even leave the like threads, like the yarn hanging. I'm not an expert in this, so it's a bit difficult for me to explain, but I'll kind of smooth out the stitches so they take as much yarn as they need, so it doesn't bunch up a ton. Obviously, it's not perfect, it's not blocked yet. This is only my 3rd colorwork project. I only did the like petite knitter colorwork sweater that only had a bit of colorwork here, and then I did my quilty cabin socks, and that's it. Like, this is my 3rd colorwork project, and I think, oh no, I did this one too, my my Maxine hot water bottle, so it's my 4th. But yeah, I'm not an expert. I've just tried to see what works best for me, because I learned how to knit English style before I learned how to knit continental. This isn't foreign to me, so I can use both techniques, and that's why I like to do it with both hands. Otherwise, I'll probably would try to do it just with one hand, the continental way, which is also what I've seen people do, but I am pretty happy with how this is going. So that's how I knit the whole entire sweater. Let me finish the row so I can put it to the side without losing any stitches. So yeah, and then at the end of the row again, I do the like kind of smoothing it out part, and that way I've been getting quite a nice gauge without it like kind of tucking, like bunching up a ton. So yeah, I'm probably gonna sit and knit for a while. I have a little basket of all the things I've been kind of collecting already, things I want to take there with me. I'm probably going to talk about that a bit more when I'm actually packing, because like I said, it's 20 days still to go, and I am crazy, but I'm not that crazy. Like, I'm going to pack probably a week in advance, but not 20 days in advance. But yeah, I've got like a basket with all my things in it that I already know that I want to bring, some gifts, my already wound up sock skein that I want to use, some stickers that I got printed to kind of share and exchange there whenever I meet some woolly and fiber friends. And yeah, I'm probably gonna knit up on this a bit more. And I also thought I'd share a bit about my plans on what to get at Rhinebeck. Okay, so because I've been recently getting a bit overwhelmed with all the things I'm seeing and being like, I want to have that, I made myself a little wish list. I love to do that because it just visualizes the things that I'm currently excited to have, but then also it takes away from the having to have it part, and it helps me make a smarter decision with my buying. I do this for my Christmas and birthday wish list every year for the last, I don't know, 5 years. I'm always using Canva for that, and I wanted to show you my wish list because it does partially also have something to do with Rhinebeck, and I thought it might be nice to show you. I will insert that like as a picture on the side. It doesn't, so it won't glare. But yeah, there are a few things that I really want to get, and some of them I was able to order and get shipped to my friend's house who I'm meeting with, who's hosting me. So I did shop a bit, and I will have those things delivered to Mia's house before coming there, so I will be able to take them home. These are vendors that, or like small businesses that won't be at Rhinebeck, so I thought it might be a nice idea to get them beforehand, because shipping is going to be so much more expensive if I'm back in Germany or if I'm in Germany now. So I thought it might be nice to get those things there. But there's one thing that is actually on the top of my priority list for Rhinebeck, and it's the in the one corner, it's a Mabel bag. Mabel makes quilt project bags, like from heirloom, like vintage quilts. So it's very sustainable practice, first of all, but then also it's wonderful, it's beautiful. Y'all know how much I love quilt motifs. I even got a quilt tattoo recently. So this will be a number one priority for me to get at Rhinebeck. I'm not planning on shopping a ton. Like, going to Rhinebeck for me is not about the shopping. I mean, it'll be nice to look around and like look at all the booths, but for me it's about going there, meeting up with my friend, and seeing many more fiber friends, and just experiencing like New York in the fall pretty much. But I think still it's nice to have a plan on if I'm going to spend money, what I really want to spend my money on. And like I said, number one priority is going to get a quilt project bag. I'm pretty sure I saw this first on Madison Monte's podcast like a year ago. I'm not sure what kind of I'm not sure about what video that was again of hers, but I really liked her Rhinebeck, kind of after Rhinebeck episodes, and I've actually watched them multiple times. So yeah, I saw that one on her podcast first, and that's when it went straight down on my list. Next up, in the kind of tools and accessory category of what I want to shop for or look out for at Rhinebeck, will be Matterroot. I've actually already bought a project bag from them and got it shipped here, while I was thinking I'll probably not be able to go to Rhinebeck this year, or maybe even ever. And then 2 weeks later, Mia invited me. So that was funny. But it also means that I don't have to, like, it won't be a huge priority to get there and buy another bag. But I'd like to have a look around. Maybe they'll have a smaller one. Mine's actually like a shawl size, but I usually put like beginning of sweater projects in there as well. It might be nice to get another smaller version too. I really like their closure. Now that I've rewatched one of Madison's podcasts, I saw that she also has one of these, but I'm pretty sure the account or like the channel I saw these bags on first was my friend's Emily's podcast, Gently Chaotic Knits. So yeah, I'll have a look around. My focus for project bags in general will be a smaller size project bag, like a socks. Yeah, sock size is probably what I'm going with. I have one Knitting Nelly like project bag that is like perfect sock size, and I use it a ton, and sometimes I do have two sock projects going at the same time, so I think that would be a nice thing. Next one, I'm gonna look at small-ish woven baskets. I love woven baskets. I don't have like a particular vendor written down here in my Rhinebeck shopping list, but I saw in some of the vlogs that I've seen about the event that there are woven basket vendors. I'm not exactly sure how feasible it would be for me to get a basket in the US and get it, like, take it with me back home. But if it is possible, and if I find a small one that I can also use as a project bag, I have so many baskets around, but they're all pretty big, and I would love like a small-ish one for like projects to put like next to the couch or even on the couch and knit from them. I just like the look. I've seen pictures. I can imagine the aesthetic, you know. And then lastly, for tools and accessories, I've written down fun stickers. I'm always up for fun stickers. I've got my water bottle plastered with it, an aesthetic I picked up from Chelsea last year while I was visiting her in Seattle. So yeah, there's always room for more fun stickers, you know. It's a fun way of memorizing the trip without getting a $30 gain from every single vendor that you like, which isn't, yeah, that's just not realistic, you know. When it comes to wool and fiber, there's a list of things that I want to have a look at while at Rhinebeck, and then a list that I want to look at while at India Untangled. So I'll just move through them and then share a bit more about the actual knitting projects that I'm thinking about getting yarn for. So a few wool and fiber recommendations. One, I watched the Rebecca Clow podcast about her going to Rhinebeck last year, and I got some of these from her. And then one of the carded roving like fiber booth was a recommendation by my friends Maya and Emily, because they got roving there last year and now they are spinning it to do a sweater spin. So let me share a bit more about the wool and fiber vendors that I'm really excited to see. Obviously, I'm very open-minded and there will be many more that I'm probably going to look at and possibly even buy yarn from, but these are the ones that I have researched. I have written down what kind of bases from them, what kind of colors I would like to have a closer look at, and yeah, let me share. First of all, that would be Primrose Yarn Co. Been hearing about them and from them a bit. Would like to check out their DK for a cardigan that I'm planning, but like I said, I'll share more about that. Then it's Sawkill Fibers Farm, which is a local farm, and that's one of the brands that Rebecca was sharing about in her video, so that's how I know of them. And then it's Junction Fiber Mill. I've just heard a ton about them. I've been following them on Instagram for a while, and they have some pretty amazing looking yarns as well. Next up, it's Bare Naked Wools. Again, another recommendation that came up a lot whenever talking or hearing about Rhinebeck. And the last one of my like very contained things I really want to see list is Feederbrook Farms, and that's the one that I want to look out for carded roving at for like a sweater spin as well. And that, like I said, is a recommendation by Emily and Maya of Gently Chaotic Knits and What Maya Made on Instagram. And lastly, at India Untangled, there are a few things that I really want to have a look at. It's Kira Wiggins for fiber. She's also been mentioned by Madison Montes and her Rhinebeck, or I think even Maryland Sheep and Wool, and I have been following Kira for a while on Instagram as well. I think it might be nice to get like a very special bat from her. I know I saw that she was at Flock 2 this year. A lot of new vendors that weren't at Flock last year, but now I get to see her at India Untangled, which I think will be nice. So yeah, I might grab a bat from her. Her stuff looks amazing. Then I'm really excited to see Sierra from Ballyhora Fibers again. She was one of the people I got to meet at Flock last year. And for her, I think I would be happy to grab maybe a sock set. She has an amazing hand-dyed fiber. I'm just in general excited to see her again. And then obviously I'm excited to see all the vendors at India Untangled, but two that I have my eyes, like two that I want to look for my sweater / cardigan quantity are North Bay Fiber and Plies and Hellhounds. They've got really interesting breed specific yarns. North Bay Fiber I've been following on Instagram for a while as well, and I think they're I think it's Heritage DK, which looks quite interesting to me. I think my friend Casey has knitted with that before too. It's a Targi Polypay. And then the Hellhounds, like the, what's it called? Plies and Hellhounds Revival DK is a non-superwash Kent Romney, and BFL, which I think also sounds amazing. So these would be two options. I'm going to share a few pictures of yarns that I'm looking at, plus the Junction Fiber Mill Farm Fresh Light in the colorway Crimson. Moving on to the one big project that I definitely want to shop yarn for. It's my friend Lily Kate Makes Calm Down cardigan, which I was able to try on and even wear for a day while we were in Belgium at a Belgian beach together, and I loved the fit of this cardigan. It's a relatively basic looking but very cleverly designed cardigan. It has a few details. It's not, like I said, it's not embellished or it doesn't have a crazy kind of texture to it, but it has a very nice detail of how it kind of opens up whenever you button it, like in the bottom. I'm not sure if I'm explaining this correctly, but yeah, I've written down I need about 1,400 meters or 1,590 yards of DK weight for a size 2, which I want to make. That's the size that I tried on from Lily as well, or about 1,200 meters of woolen spun sport weight for 22 stitches. So I'll probably have to see how they feel, what the vendors say about the gauge that I'm trying to achieve. So these are some of the yarns that I have my eye out for. I think a brown would be great. Like I imagine a brown cardigan or maybe a Bordeaux red cardigan to be really nice. I've actually bought a few buttons at my local yarn shop, and I want to take one of them with me to the festival, just like in my purse, to see what yarn works with them. On the pictures, the Revival Decay in a very much like a stone or bone colorway also looks nice, but I've already got a ton like white, beige, you know, like a beigey, bony, off-white color. I think I've got 3 cardigans that are white to beige. So I don't think I need another one, but I think they would also look fantastic with a cardigan like that. So I'll insert the buttons. You'll be the judge of that. Like, I'd be so happy to hear any of your opinions on the things I'm sharing. Let me know. Should I go for red? Should I go for like beige or cream? Or should I go for one of the beautiful like autumnal colors from North Bay? Because I really like that one. I really like these ones too, but we'll see. I have been using the New York Sheep and Wool Festival page as a resource. There is a vendor list, and I have been writing down where the vendors that I really want to see are located. Okay, I'm back. It's the next day. I don't know if I've mentioned, but I was sitting down to film a bit just after having a bath. I'm down like physically. I'm not feeling too well. I've been having migraines and cramps quite a bit, so that's why I'm only filming in very small entities this video. I hope you don't mind, but yeah, it's the next day and I wanted to go through a few more projects that I would love to shop yarn for at either of the events surrounding Rhinebeck or the New York Sheep and Wool Festival in and of itself. I have my bundle open. It's actually called Shop Yarn For. And I thought I'd talk a bit through some of the patterns that I've got in my list. This obviously doesn't mean that I'm going to shop yarn for every single one. It's just that I feel like I've got a bit of a guidance within my shopping experience. This means that I'll be looking out for specific yarns for this, and yeah, let's get into it. The first one that I've actually filmed for yesterday, and then I was looking back at the footage, and I'm not sure about the color choices that I thought that I had already planned for, is the Hesper shawl by Amy Christoffers. I love Amy Christoffers patterns, and this shawl specifically with the quilt motifs. Obviously, I'm in love. I thought that I had some fiber in stash that I could spin for it, but looking back at the footage, I think it's just a bit too bright, and I'm not yet sure if I want to use that. I have some other fiber from Artifacts of Appreciation that I have been sent by Lindsay, but that is a darker version, and I'm not sure if I want the contrast color to be dark, but rather the main color to be dark. So I'm going to include the fiber that I've got in stash and I haven't yet put into my stash on Ravelry. I'm going to include that. I have about half of the fiber that I've got in stash on here already, but I haven't put in the bats that Lindsay sent me. So I'll put them in so I have a good idea of how much yarn I could get out of them, kind of like a gauge. Same with yarn buying or yarn stashing, that I know how much I've got before I cast on the project. So I could see myself spinning any fiber really for that project, and I could see myself getting more fiber to spin for the project. But what I wanted to say, at the end of the day, I'm looking for a Sport to DK yarn. This pattern is written for 20 stitches for sport weight yarn in the mosaic knitting pattern, and I just love the look of it. Like I said, I thought I had made up my mind about color choices and was leaning towards a very bright orange and yellow yarn for the contrast, and then was thinking about getting like a very deep forest green for the main color, but I'm not sure if that's going to be super wearable. I think I was really influenced by my friend's Casey's version of her pressed flower shawl, which I adore the look of. And I really want to have something foresty green. I just cast on Hannah's Stick Season sweater, and that is in like a very dark kind of foresty green, and I'm already excited to see it on him every day that he's going to wear it. So I just love that deep green, and I think that's what's caught my eye. But in Casey's version, she has a lot more depth in her hand spun color as well. So I might also search for another fiber to kind of combine with the fiber I've already got in stash. But yeah, as you can tell, my calm down plans were really precise already. Like I had a good idea of what I really wanted to get, and with this one it's more of like I'm gonna write down the exact meterage I need. I've actually written that down already. So I know that I need about 600 meters in my main color and about 500 meters in my contrast color. And I've written that all down. And like I said, I thought I had a plan, but I'm not so sure about it now. So I'll just probably have a look at the boost that I want to look at either way. The yarns that I was eyeing up for the version I was thinking about before were the Roan DK or the Roan Sport by Primrose Yarn Co. in Cypress or Suit. And I'm going to include them here. But yeah, I'm not sure if I want a super bright color changing hand spun to be used with that, or more like a understated look and a maybe just like a cream, like a, I think maybe the quilt motifs are giving the pattern enough excitement already. So if I'm using a hand, like a changing hand dyed color, that would be a bit much, maybe. I'm not sure. I could actually see myself doing a more of like a fun and color changing shawl. In her most recent birthday sale, I actually bought the Inclinations shawl by Andrea Mari, so I could see myself maybe using a bit more colorful hand spun for that, since that is I think that'll look quite nice with it. Maybe I'm influenced by her pictures, but yeah. Okay, so another pattern that I could see myself shopping yarn for is the Lunenburg pullover by Amy Christoffers. This is in my Ravelry wish list and has been on my kind of horizon to possibly knit in the future for some time. The pattern uses sport weight. It's been published in 2019, so it's a bit of an older pattern. In the grand scheme of things, it's not that old, but you know, it's not a new release. and I have been eyeing up this pattern for a while. I think sport weight is quite a nice weight to do a colorwork sweater in. I would need a main color and then 4 contrast colors, and it'll definitely be a pattern for which I'll again write down all the measurements, like what size do I want to make, and then what amounts of yarn I need to use. I've not done this. I've just done this for the Hesper shawl and the Calm Down cardigan, because these two have been my kind of focus before. But now, since I'm kind of planning it a bit more, the Lunenburg would definitely be a project that I could see myself shopping for as well. A few more that I'm not going to go into too much detail, but that I could see myself, like if I see something that kind of really speaks to me, I could see myself getting yarn for this as well. A few smaller projects that I could I'm obviously not done planning for this, but I wanted to show you a few more small projects that I think would be nice to kind of look out for if there's like a special skein that I see and I don't want to leave behind. I want to have a plan for them. And the one project that immediately came to mind and that I've got in my library already, I think I must have been given this because it's been in my Ravelry wish list, is a DK weight hat. It's called the Weekend Hat by Hiromi Nagasawa, and it is a project that I would love to make this autumn and winter. It is actually knit in Sandnesgarn, either Sunday or the Peer Gynt, so I do have yarn for this in stash. It's scrappy yarn, but I could use it for this. But I could see myself making this multiple times and maybe even gifting it as well. So it is just a pattern I've had on my kind of radar to make for a very long time. So I could see myself getting maybe a nice skein of DK, maybe from a hand-dyed place, and make this, as well as the Alex scarf by Pernille Larsen. She's the designer and kind of, I don't know, is it CEO? She's the woman behind Knitting for Olive, and she has created a pattern that is usable for almost kind of any gauge, or it's designed for any gauge, and that's why I think this pattern would be nice, and I've got it in my library, is that you can use it for kind of any yarn weight that you come across or that you have. It is also something between, I think, like 250 and 1,000 meters, so you could pretty much use any amount of yarn, which is a great like stash busting project. But then also, if you find that one special skein that you can't really leave behind and it speaks to you, you could also make this little project with it. I'm looking through my list now, and I'm feeling like I've talked about the ones that I'm really kind of like wanting to get at length. Obviously, another thing that you can obviously never go wrong with is just a sock yarn or a sock set. I always like to knit socks. I usually always have a sock on my needle, so I could see myself just getting maybe a special sock skein as well, especially going to Indie and mentioning that Ballyhora fibers will be there, or Ballyhora yarns. I think it's fibers. I will definitely be getting a sock yarn from her. And yeah, I think looking at my bundle now, there isn't another pattern that I'm really wanting to kind of go into detail about. So I think that that'll be it about this segment. I already feel like this video is going to be quite long, to be honest. I still want to show you the sweater. I did actually finish it yesterday. Remember how I was like, maybe I can finish it within the next 2 days, and I didn't finish it yesterday already. It is blocking now for the sleeves. I did like submerge it under water. I did submerge the whole thing under water, so the body is kind of blocking for the second time. I'm still unsure about maybe putting the stitches on hold and re-knitting the body ribbing, the body hem. With the yarn that I've got left, I could probably add about maybe 3 to 4 rows. So I'm not exactly sure if it'll be worth it, but I have the option and I think that's nice. I've still got plenty of time left up until I'm leaving for Rhinebeck. So I think that's nice to be kind of done with. I'll let it dry for the next couple of days and then probably try it on and show you. And then again, I would also love to chat a bit about what I'm bringing and how I'm packing. I think I've actually come up with a good plan on how to have the option of actually shopping, even if I'm just traveling with hand luggage there. So I will go into more detail when I'm actually packing, which could be another 1 or 2 weeks probably. And yeah, I hope you like the concept of like sharing about my wish list. Obviously, I won't be getting all of these things on there. For me, it's a great exercise to kind of practice delayed gratification and wait for things and not act on my impulse on getting beautiful things right the minute that they happen. Some of the things have been on there for weeks, some just for a few days, and then some even for years. Not that specific wish list, but in general, I have like an ongoing wish list of things. And then you do sometimes realize that things have kind of lost their power, like you don't really need them anymore, which I think is a good practice to realize that you don't have to own everything that's beautiful, kind of. So yeah, I hope you also like me sharing about my wish list and how that kind of thing helps me practice delayed gratification a bit and kind of waiting for things to happen and not kind of have feeling the urge to have everything right away. I know I've been struggling with that sometimes, especially in a place where everything is or can be very inspirational, and I know that I do take a part in that, and I will never want anyone to feel like they don't have enough or they need more or whatever. I know that I'm speaking from a very privileged point of view, but I have had experiences, especially growing up, with having very little, like having to make do with little, and feeling that feeling of kind of urge or wanting more, or yeah, feeling bad. I know as a teenager that was tough sometimes, knowing that my family couldn't afford things other families could. So I don't know why, but this kind of feels important to me to kind of share how I practice treating myself, especially since this is such a big part of my day and my time and my life. All those creative outlets and supporting other small businesses, like art is important to me and it is worth my money. I'd rather spend more money on less things if they're worth it, like if they're created by other people that have put their love into them. But like I said, then again, I know that it's a privileged position and I don't have any kids. I feel like I can kind of treat myself in that way differently. I have more maybe time and money available to spend on these outlets of creativity and such. So I know it can be a difficult topic. I just wanted to acknowledge my privilege in that and having the option of getting beautiful things for myself. But yeah, I know that I can tend to get into that mindset of treating myself being like, well, I don't know, you worked so much. I've had a little side project going on, something I haven't talked about yet, and I'll only be able to talk about in a couple of months. But I was working on that on the side, and with the money that I earned from that, I was like, it's extra money, so it's not accounted for. Rent is paid. My student loans are paid for this month and all of that. So yeah, I feel like it's a great practice to kind of put on a paper everything that you're kind of like urging for or wanting to get or have, and then deciding like what's actually worth spending my money on. Like, I know I have a lot of project bags already and a lot of beautiful handmade mugs, but then again, I'm a collector, you know. But do I actually need another one right now, or would I rather spend my money on some earrings, since I don't have a ton of earrings? I have like 2 sets of earrings that my partner got me, and I wear them every day, just changing them up. Maybe a fun pair would be a nice idea. So yeah, I don't know, I just wanted to share that. You all know how much I love the planning aspect of the knitting as well, so I also, and no one's surprised by that, I also like the planning aspect of shopping. And I think it's a good thing to have these things kind of figured out or somewhat figured out before you're going to a big event like the New York Sheep and Wool Festival. So yeah, I thought it might be nice to share these things, like what things I will be looking out for. But like I said, the most important thing for me on this trip is the experiences that I'm hoping to have with my friend Mia, of course, but then also with other friends that I know that'll be there. I'm really excited for for anyone who's contacted me and told me that they'll be there, but a few people especially that I haven't seen in a while and that I've missed. I'm really looking forward to meeting them again and spending a few hours in that beautiful scenery. I just expect it to be beautiful. I hope I'm not gonna be super disappointed, because I've got this like like Hudson Valley, turning leaves, beautiful breeze picture in my mind. I've watched so many Rhinebeck vlogs, so a few experiences that I've written down for Mia and I to be like, these are things I would love to experience, is get an apple cider donut and an apple cider to drink. I know this is cliche and it's very touristy probably for people who've been going to Rhinebeck all their lives, but yeah, I would love that. I would also love to have some mac and cheese at one of the booths. We're planning on having brunch at Phoenicia Diner. I love like the American diner breakfast thing. It is one of my favorite things in the whole entire world. And so we have plans on going there, and I'm super excited. I also want to take a picture in my framed sweater with Andrea Mari and all the other people who've knitted the framed sweater. I'd love to go on a little hike and see a bit of the nature around, see the Hudson River, and see some sheep and other animals at the festival. And then, of course, have some cozy knitting time at the cabin together. So all of these things, and then meeting my friends, some friends I've met before, some friends I've only been talking to online, but some of them for a while now, and then even people I haven't talked to, some more fiber friends that people who watch the podcast. I'm just so excited to meet the community again. Like, that is what I'm most excited for. But yeah, I think that'll be it for now. Like I said, I'll be coming back to you whenever the sweater's dry and whenever I begin to pack for this adventure. I'm so excited. Okay, see you then. Bye. Okay, so I'm back. It's only 10 days till Rhinebeck now, and I did redo my hem, and I've actually finished the whole thing. So you could see that I was blocking it, and then I retried it on. And honestly, from blocking the hem twice now and doing a tubular cast on and knitting the sweater bottom up, it was stretched out quite a bit, and it was even like flaring in the back a bit. So I was missing the effect that a tubular bind off can give, which is cinching in the bottom just a smidge. And because this is, I don't know, like 20 to 30 centimeters of positive ease, I'll have to double check, and it'll be in my Ravelry project, but this has quite a bit of positive ease. I wanted it to kind of cinch in a bit at the hem, and then also I was able to lengthen the sleeve cuffs maybe like 1 or 2 centimeters from what Andrea Mari called for, but I hadn't lengthened the hem by the exact, like by the same extent, which meant that I picked up the stitches, I kind of secured them on a smaller needle, and then I did a tiny little snip about like 20 centimeters from the beginning of the round. I then started to unravel, which took like 2 hours, like 2 knitting podcasts in time, which I think at the end of the day it was worth it. The more painful part though was that I kind of had my ribbing then unattached and off to the side. I did put it into the freezer for a couple of hours for the fibers to kind of relax and not cling to each other too much. But at the end of the day, I had blocked it twice already, and I could definitely tell from unraveling. I think I must have watched like 2 episodes of Monsters, which is a series on Netflix that my partner and I watched, all while trying to get the ribbing undone. And you could see some of the remnants. It was super like tangly and ramen noodly, and at the end of the day I really had to throw out some of it because it just got too tangled. I have a jar of like my leftover like little snippets that I cut when I've like after weaving in my ends, and so I'll keep that for maybe doing confetti carding, like confetti yarn at some point, or gifting it to a friend who's carding. I don't have a set plan for that yet, but I'm keeping all my ends that I cut off my projects, and things like that also count for that, because I really don't know what to do with it. It's tangled in some spaces where I can't get it undone. And I did get, at the end, I got enough to add to my project. And because my original skein wasn't 100, but more like 110 grams, which was great, I was able to at least use 100 grams for all of my contrast. And you can see that now they are the exact same length, maybe off by like 1 row, but that really doesn't bother me at all. It is at least 1 or 2 centimeters longer than what I had before. After ribbing it all out, I continued knitting in the opposite direction, which obviously I had knitted it this direction, but then I whenever I had the stitches picked up, I knitted it top down, and I used the 16 grams nugget that I had left before, and then at the end of the day whatever I was able to kind of save from the ribbing before I added as well. And then I did the tubular bind off, which you can just see that it just cinches in a tiny bit more than it did before, and it's just a tiny bit longer. So if I'm wearing high-waisted jeans, I don't think it's going to be a huge problem. This is a very cropped project, and if you're planning on knitting the framed after Rhinebeck, or whenever you're watching this video and you're planning on knitting it, I would highly recommend or suggest that if you're a person with a long torso, or you don't like high-waisted shorts, or you don't like high-waisted bottoms, but prefer a regular length sweater, that you add at least one more repeat for the body before splitting for front and back. This is what I told people who were knitting this after I had kind of reached that point and I was trying it on for the first time. I myself would consider my body, my torso, to be shorter, and then I like wearing high-waisted bottoms. But yeah, if that's not your kind of tee, I wouldn't knit it to the original length, but lengthen it. You can see in Andrea Mari's pictures, she has like a dress or like a long high-waisted skirt on underneath, I think. So it looks wonderful with that. But as I am not a person who likes or loves to wear skirts, dresses I do like, but more so in the summer. I will be wearing trousers with this or jeans, so I'll have to see how I style it. I'm actually not sure if I showed you the right way. I think this is the front. You can see a bit of the short row shaping here, so the back is a bit higher. But yeah, I am thrilled that this is finished. Like I said, I've got 10 days left. This has been done for a couple of days. It took me about 2 days of redoing the hem. This is still a tiny bit tight, but I'll just show you how I can get it over my head and just put it on over my long sleeve t-shirt. Yeah, let me put it on. I mean, this is impromptu. I have a home office day, like a filming day today, and so I have just been cutting all the footage that I have already, and now I wanted to kind of finish filming this vlog so I can get on with another new podcast episode. But this is already a pretty long vlog. I tend to have shorter videos now. I know I started doing like 1 or 2 hours podcasts sometimes, but I'm not into that as much anymore. I like more of like a 30 to 45 or 50-minute video length kind of, but this is definitely an hour and some video. But I hope you enjoy. I've just got so much to share, you know. So I'll show you. I'll need to take off my glasses. You probably see the marks on my nose, but I'll show you how easy it is to get off like onto my body, and you'll be the judge of that. I'm not going to change it now. It'll be okay. So all right, so I'm wearing it now. You can't see the length of it. I'm going to put on some trousers and show you. I'm still in my pajama bottoms, so you can't see now. You can see though that my sleeves are a lot longer than what Andrea Mari called for originally, and they're longer by at least this and then a bit from the cuff. So yeah, I wanted them to be at least like 7/8 length or almost to my bracelet length, because I didn't think the idea of like having a DK colorwork, like stranded colorwork sweater, which is like double kind of the thickness because it is stranded, and then having like super short sleeves would be like, I don't know, that smart for me personally, because then my arms would be freezing possibly if it's like really cold and I want to wear this just like more than once for Rhinebeck. Obviously this took like 3 months to make. It is one of my most intricate and like special and difficult, and like my first partially hand spun sweater, so obviously I want to wear it all throughout winter and like autumn and winter. So yeah, this is it. So yeah, I'm probably going to wear this for the rest of the video. And there is something that I wanted to add. This is not concerning the sweater. I just showed you that it is easy enough to get on. Like you have to kind of pop your head through, but I don't think I'm going to redo, since there really aren't any more stitches that I could possibly pick up. So it'll have to be okay like this. I'm going to show you a few like styling this sweater for Rhinebeck, like possible Rhinebeck outfits. later on in the video. I'm not exactly sure how much of my packing I'll get into this video. I'll probably just show you my like idea on how to be actually able to shop a bit with just like traveling there with just a carry-on. But before I get into that, I wanted to mention that we did still got tickets for Cake. We hadn't planned on doing that because it was pretty important to me to also be able to do a little hike in the area in the Catskills. So we hadn't planned on going to Cake, but then like as time went by and I learned more about some of the vendors that are going to be at Cake, and I was like, I cannot miss this. So I asked Mia if she was okay with me kind of changing the plan and possibly going on the hike on Sunday afternoon after being at the festival for a second day. And so we got a ticket for the last slot at Cake as well. So we're going to be at Indie the second slot and then going to be at Cake the last slot. And a few vendors that I am ecstatic and like looking forward to see so much at Cake. I wanted to mention them just beforehand. So if you're still planning on what to look out for, if you're also going or if you're not going but just want to learn more about some small businesses that are at these events, I thought it might be quite nice to share. So that is Tuft Woolens. First and foremost, they have like I think they have hand creams and like hand balms. I've seen them with their, I think it was last year when they had something like an apple cider like scent in all of their products, and I would love to just have like a sniff of that. Is that weird to say? But yeah, I have talked to them on Instagram and they just seem lovely. So I would just love to see what they have on offer at their booth, maybe get like a little hand cream. And yeah, so Tuft Woolens is the first vendor that I'm excited to see at Cake. The next one is By the Lakeside, Sandy, who makes such cute project bags. I have been enjoying watching her vlogs and like I think it's Vlogmas the last I think 1 or 2 years, and then she at one point mentioned that she was also watching my Vlogmas, which I was so flattered by, and I think that brought a few more people to the podcast as well. So yeah, I think it would be lovely to meet her. I think she's been going to Rhinebeck for a couple of years, so she has lots more experience. I think as like a person going there, but then also as a vendor. By the Lakeside is her small business, and yeah, I would love to check out her bags. The next vendor is Chelsea Yarns, another hand-dyed yarn company, and I would like to check out their, like I said, the hand-dyed yarns. I know of them again through Madison. I know this is kind of like a Madison Montees fan account at this point, which that sounds weird, but yeah, I'm also very excited to meet Madison in person at the festival. And she has, I think she got a advent from Chelsea Yarns and they just look really nice. The advent was like New York City themed. So I'm just gonna have a look at their yarns. It's not like I need any more single hand-dyed skeins, but if I were to get maybe like a sock yarn, I think it could be from Chelsea Yarns. And then last but not least, I mean, there's many more. I think there is Black Pearl, Magic. They have got like those clear plastic project bags. I think they're fabulous. They look great. I'm definitely gonna have a look at them, though we're at the last slot, so I'm not so sure what's going to be left, and I'm not sure if it's really my aesthetic, but I'm excited to meet them as well. But the one thing I would really love to get has been featured, like 2 of their mugs have been featured in my wish list. I have just recently, just a few months ago, found them on Instagram, and that's Golden Earth Designs. We've also been chatting on Instagram for a bit. Sarah, it's been super lovely to talk to her, and I would really love to either get the sheep mug or one of the quilt mugs. So yeah, that is probably the one I'm most excited about, and the one I'm going to probably beeline for at Cake when we're going there for the last slot. But yeah, that is going to be our Friday, and I just wanted to mention that because I hadn't before, because I wasn't thinking that we might actually be able to head to Cake as well. But yeah, I think that is probably all. Thank you for listening to me babble on about these things. Obviously, I have mentioned projects that I could see myself shopping for, but then I also have written down a few more kind of like things. Let me check my Rhinebeck shopping list. I wanted to mention 2 more designs that I could see myself shopping yarn for, which are the Astrid sweater. Actually, one of my lovely viewers has gifted this to me from my wish list on Ravelry. That is the Knitting for Olive sweater I have been talking about, possibly spinning for a few months, since they kind of previewed it on their Instagram. And I've just written down like the meterage that I would need for that in my size, which, if I remember correctly, is about 1,500 meters, which is pretty normal for like a sweater for myself. And secondly, the Clove sweater by Rachel Kurihara. And yeah, both of them I would need about like 5 to 6 skeins of DK weight yarn for. So I've written down the meterage that I would need to kind of look out for. But I've also kind of realized through looking up these things that shopping yarn, especially like farm yarn or hand-dyed yarn in the US, is more expensive than shopping yarn for here in Germany. And obviously I work at a yarn shop that curates a wonderful selection of yarns. There are a few yarns still in our selection that I have not tried, or one by Lenny Vendel, for example, the Stormy blend that I have used for a hat but would love to use for a cardigan as well. So I could see myself possibly not getting any yarn there for the calm down, and then rather getting it at the shop. I'm actually going to include a picture, because when I was standing in front of that that display in our shop, I was like, they have the exact like burgundy red and the chocolate brown options that I would want to shop for, like either get for my calm down, and it's the perfect like yarn weight gauge for that sweater as well. And I get like 20% off any yarn that I buy from our shop. Plus, if I'm wearing it and like a customer asks for what yarn that is, I can say, it's this one. We've got it from Italy. We know the producers. We know Julia and Stefania. And so yeah, that is kind of a thing I'm also thinking about. I might not get a ton of yarn, but more so maybe little accessories, and like I said, a basket or a project bag, things like that. And then I really want to stress again that shopping at Rhinebeck isn't the most important thing, but you can still take like pleasure from it, or comfort in shopping. So I hope my kind of deep dive into why I do wish lists, why I plan for these events so much beforehand, like that point came across. It is part of my joy that I kind of draw from it. The anticipation and the planning beforehand is not half of the fun, but almost. Like, I'm only going to be there for a long weekend, which is, it is a shame, but it was kind of a once in a lifetime chance to go there, being invited by me. I was yeah, I felt so lucky and happy about that I took the chance, meaning that I'll only be there for a couple of days, or like 4 to 5 days, not including the travel days. Well, I think it'll be 4 days. But yeah, let me show you how I'm planning my packing, and then I'll show you the sweater. Okay, so I'm traveling with hand luggage, which means I have a carry-on, and I'm going to bring my backpack, which I think will be easiest to kind of travel with. But because I was thinking that this might leave very little space for actual shopping, and because Mia has already brought a few small things from Flock for me, I really thought there's only two options. One thing I had done before, whenever I was visiting Scotland and Venetia for the Woolly Good Gathering, I had then shipped back two sweater quantities, Aran Wade sweater quantities that I got in Scotland via like post, which wasn't cheap, but then also wasn't too bad. The second option would be to check luggage just on the way back. But I didn't want to just have to buy like another luggage there, which meant that I would need to come up with a solution, which wasn't just like a one-time solution. I wanted to get something that I could then use maybe for storage or even for other travel coming up, which is why I was looking for bags that kind of were within the parameters of what I could check. So I looked at the liter or like the centimeter that were allowed for a check bag, but that could also be like stored or like compressed into a relatively small thing that wouldn't take up too much space going there. And with that and some of the gifts that I'm bringing there, I should have enough space in my hand luggage for some things to take back, but then also I could put some of my maybe laundry or like an extra pair of shoes or some of the things that I'm getting, because yarn, you know, takes up some space and can be like a sweater quantity, could be 500, 600, 700 grams of things that you need to take back. So yeah, this is the solution I came up with. It folds up to be quite big. And then I also got a lock to go with it, so it'll be secure whenever I check it. And I think it's a brilliant idea. I need to toot my own horn. Do you say that? I think you do, because I think it's a really good idea. This will mean that I don't need to think about if I can take all the things back that I'm seeing or thinking about getting. It'll be easy enough, and it'll be also easy enough for me to carry while still carrying my carry-on kind of thing. It won't be too much for one person to do. I actually did just get this off of Amazon, so yeah, I can't really say anything about the quality of it. It wasn't too expensive, but then also yeah, it wasn't super cheap, but I thought for this occasion it would be fine for me to get it. And then, like I said, I could use it for storage in the basement, or like I said, other travel in the future. So I just wanted to share this real quickly because I felt quite clever with this idea, like just booking the check luggage on the way back. I think I saved about 70 euros, which I really don't need to take any more luggage there. So that's why I'm not taking my big luggage. Obviously this costs like 20 something euros, this bag. So in the end, I didn't save the entire 70 euros, but you know, I don't know. I felt super clever coming up with this idea. And I know I'm not the first person to do this, but yeah, I'm quite happy with my traveling setup.